Alright. He's like, fuck no. Don't want to go outside. He's like, I am. Oh dear. Ugh. Stupid keyboard tray. What is happening? Where did all these crumbs come from? What is there crumbs on my frickin' mouse pad? Okay. I always realize I need to clean my mouse at like the worst times ever. Good enough for now. It's not that good of a mouse to begin with. It's pretty terrible one, honestly. However, hold on one second. Do you see something that we need to deal with in there? So one of the bad things about, you know, I don't even know if this is just a pet thing. I mean, do you guys that don't have pets have just like random fuzz that floats through the air? 'Cause I've got an awful lot of fuzz. It looks like crammed into my mouse. I don't know when the last time I cleaned this was. And of course, because this is a really cheap mouse. There's not looking like there's any way to open it. I see one screw hole, and I find it hard to believe that that screw hole at the bottom is the only thing holding the whole thing together. It could be, but, you know. Now that I've blinded myself staring at my mouse. Hi, guys. How are you? I hope everybody's okay. All right. So it's Wednesday. With luck, your Wednesday is going much better than mine. But we're gonna do some WoW challenges stuff now. Sorry if there's a little bit of wind crackle on the microphone. It's very, very hot outside. It's very warm in our room, even with the house AC on, but our room doesn't get any of the house AC, so we've got like fans set up through the house trying to push it into our room. We do have a window air conditioner unit, but because of money and, you know, electric bill, we're trying not to use it. so we didn't put it in. And I didn't have guinea pigs to worry about this summer, so it can be a little bit warm in here. It doesn't make it easy to sleep. I went into the mother-in-law's room, where the husband's been sleeping, because of the one older cat that has to be kept separate from one of the other cats because they do not get along and they will fight to rip fur out, and it is not a good situation. So while she's not here, most of the time he sleeps in there. Sometimes he'll sleep out here if she's had enough time out here during the day, but like once a week or so he'll sleep out here. Up that up out of the way. Alright. But I went in there last night and it was fucking cold. I was like, God damn. Like, I am freezing in here. Why can't it be this cold in our room? It's like, that's not fair. What is this shit? But her room is the first room off of the AC duct and the heating duct. So in the winter, when the heat's running, it's like a fucking sauna in there, so I don't know. Whoever put the ductwork in, I don't know. I severely question as to whoever put the original ductwork in, if they were actually licensed to do it. I'm not so sure. But we'll get there. It should be. Well, we probably have at least another 2 weeks of icky hot weather. I'm hoping it cools down a little early. I think one year we still had the air conditioner running in the window until like November, so I'm hoping that's not the case this year. But we'll see. I was really hoping it would cool down because we gotta get outside and finish cleaning up the overgrown sections of the front yard, because they're still planning on doing the parade as far as I know. And parade will be on Saturday morning. I already put my foot down and told the parents nobody is going anywhere this weekend. No one is leaving this property. You need something, you need to get it done by Friday. You need groceries, you need medication, all by Friday, because nobody's going anywhere. Because this town is just going to explode with people this weekend, and I don't want to be anywhere near it. I don't even want to drive through it. There's gonna be all sorts of stupidness going on, because there's gonna be all kinds of yard sales. There's all of the antique people are gonna be coming through. Our town's got a lot of antique thrift junk shops. There's people coming in for the craft show and the square dancing at the craft show, and they do the parade early Saturday morning, and I'm just like, there is going to be so many people here. The square dancing competition is for like little kids up to high school, and I'm just like, okay. And the people that run the event basically put out a statement on Facebook that said, yeah, if you don't feel well, don't come. We're encouraging vendors to round up to the next dollar on change so they don't have to handle as much money. And if you're doing food samples, they need to be individually wrapped. Consider pre-packaging your goods that you're selling. Bag your goods, your that people purchase before you take payment. Like, all sorts of stuff. And, you know, basically, if you don't feel well, don't come. And try to socially distance while you're here. And I'm like, really? On a good day, you could barely move elbow to elbow in there. You think these fuckers are gonna keep 6 feet apart outside?
It's too far away.
Not with the attitude that we've seen from people around here. They act like they're nice, and they pretend they're nice, and they pretend that they're the sweetest people ever, and that the community is so awesome, but the community is made up of you guys with the attitudes. So I think y'all are fooling yourselves and think that either you're not part of the community or you only do something when you feel like doing it. It's bizarre. It's like somebody asks you to do something for the sake of you and others, and you're like, no. We have such an awesome community. And I'm like, what? No, that's not how this works. But, you know, whatever. We already decided. My mom just really wanted funnel cake, and we're gonna get the stuff to make that tomorrow. We have most of it already. We just need to pick up some more milk and eggs. That's it. And we need some bread. And I think my mom has a doctor's appointment on Friday, and then nobody is going anywhere. Unless it's a major emergency. I really hope they're not throwing candy at the parade this year, because that was a thing, and I'm just like, okay. Because, you know, they've got, oh, the classic cars going through and people throwing candy from the cars, and oh, I brought my granddaughter who was like 4, and you know how 4-year-olds are, the fingers are everywhere in every place they shouldn't be, and then they're grabbing the candy and throwing it, and I'm just like, okay. As long as nobody waits in our front yard for the parade, I'll be happy. Hopefully they'll all stay across the street on the sidewalk where they belong and not on our property. So we don't have a sidewalk in front of our property. It's like a tiny, maybe 6-inch strip of grass and then the road. There's like not even a shoulder there, so. Or if there is a shoulder, it's like barely the width of a bike lane. So we got that going on this weekend. I'm actually amazed they're still having it. Because they just said on the news the other day that the ICU beds are full for the thing that's currently going on. I'm like, oh good. And they're concerned about the biker festival. Well, the health workers and the hospital workers are concerned about it. Like the middle of September. So I'm like, right. So if they're concerned about it, I think because, wasn't there like a lot of people that caught it from Sturgis? I mean, there's a lot more people that go to Sturgis, but I mean, I feel bad because it's a charity event, so, you know, on one hand you want them to have it for the charity donations, but then on the other hand, it's like, is it worth the risk to put the charity event on? I don't know. Don't know. And we're still struggling with the doggo that we thought was hurt. The vet couldn't find anything, but he's still not acting right, and that's a whole situation there. He's like acting just right enough where we're questioning our sanity. So it's like, what? But I don't know. That's another situation we're currently dealing with. been a week, you guys, and it's only Wednesday. Like, why has this past, like, full week from last Wednesday to this Wednesday feel like it's been a month? Like, I don't understand. It's just been... Damn. Oh, yay. We didn't even finish that rotation. That was good. Probably because we're still low level. Probably because we're only 34. Or we just hit 34. Alright. I know, my transmog is terrifying. That fairy dragon transmog from the front. Like, the wings are cute. The helmet's a little scary, honestly. Especially when you get, like, right up in there. Kinda looks like an ant or something in a masquerade costume. Alright, let's hearth back. Okay. Ooh, sorry, sleep has not been good. Between the heat, the stress, the anxiety. What the fuck is sleep, anyway? We are running on fumes, y'all. Okay. So, let's try to crop my arm out of there a little bit. So it's not quite so bad. That's a little better. Okay. So remember, if you tweet about your challenge characters, thanks. If you tweet about your challenge characters, use the hashtag #WoWChallenges. So that way, myself and Lita can keep track of it, because I help, I'm one of the caretakers of the WoW Challenges social medias. So, and this, no matter what, challenge you're running, we prefer that people just use the WoW Challenges hashtag, because, that way we don't have to monitor, you know, like 20 different hashtags. So, WoW Challenges, Bloodthirsty, Soul Fist. We're running, oh, there we go, Dyslexic. Not Weaver Mist, Mist Weaver. Monk. Ding's level 34. Oh, there we go. Slash Played is at, no, come back, Slash Played. We're not done yet. 6 days, 13 hours, 48 minutes, and 20 seconds. Now, don't let that Slash Played be intimidating. This character is old, okay? She was started back, oh goodness. Hang on, let me look it up on the website. Let me see what symbol she's got next to her. I want to say Legion, but I could be mistaken. It could be very, very early BFA. Let me find her. No, she was Legion. Okay, so she's been around for a long time. And I was running so many at that point that, she was sitting for periods of time. So, you know, right now her Slash Played is about double what my newest challenger is, roughly. And the newest challenger just hit 51. We'll see her in a little bit. So, I mean, it's a little skewed because she's gone through level squish and whatnot. So... what am I doing? Total kills. So you don't have to include this is just something I do, because it amused me to look at the differences between different characters, and then they did that Winds of Wisdom thing where everybody's XP was doubled, so character kills were a little skewed again because it wasn't taking as many kills to to get where you need to go. So, alright, this stat is why Bloodthirsty's had to move for a long time, because the stat wasn't always pinging correctly. So you will tend to see a little bit of a difference between this one and this one. Critters don't give you XP, so if you accidentally hit any of those, they're not going to count in here. If there's a scripted NPC event that doesn't give you, like if that mob's part of that scripted event, it doesn't always give you the, it might give you experience, but it doesn't always count here. So, this is also the stat that we were talking about with the question on the show last week, about, you know, how Crommy time can get really messy for Bloodthirsties. So anywhere that caps out at 30, you, with Crommy time activated, you've bought yourself 8 more levels. But when you hit 38, well, maybe 7 really, because when you hit 38, you have to move. So maybe it's really 7 full levels. And then when you hit 38, you've got to move. Because with Crommy time up, for some reason, that 8 levels above where it would gray out, is like some kind of weird black magic level where it's just like, okay, I'm not counting this anymore. And it's like, okay. Now they did fix this stat for normal leveling, so if you're just following your normal leveling routine and, you know, transitioning through zones, you're fine. You're fine if you just go somewhere that's good until 50, like I'm in BFA now. It's just less messy for me, where I don't have to constantly move. It does get me a little antsy at times, but we're working through it. The fact that the vendor trash is worth a bit more here kind of helps, but yeah, so I mean, you will see a difference between these two. You don't want them to be a big difference. Like, if it gets to be like 300 kills, you might end up getting a flag at some point, so that's why you want to move. Because you don't want to be killing and killing and killing and then go to update like 5 levels later and be like yellow flagged, because that's going to be a lot of killing that you're going to have to make that up to try to flip it. But, you know, so what is that? Just, it's under 200 difference. We're fine here. This is from earlier, before Shadowlands, or that level number, kill number, was a little off. When I post my kills, I go off of my total kills. So that's why, you know, just this number's not always accurate, and if I killed it and got XP, I want to use it, so I use this number. Alright, so let's tweet that. Okay, so we're gonna look at our vendor trash. This one is one of the ones that we moved back up into leveling rotation because the hunter got finished. So right now we're sitting at 4 max level Bloodthirsties. We've gotten the Discipline Priest, the Destruction Warlock, the Ret Paladin, and the Beastmaster Hunter. So this is one of the ones sliding up into leveling once again. So we did our repairs. Alright, so let's start with vendor trash. So the bushy tails out here are worth 14 gold apiece. Some levels you get more than others. That's very RNG on that. And I didn't get any antlers this time around. Those are worth like 14, 16 gold each. Some levels I've gotten a lot of them, so we'll probably get more as our level increases out here and we have to spend more time killing and, you know, more kills, more chances of drops, all that stuff. Alright, so 113, not bad. Not stupendous, but still better than we would be if we had stayed in a different area. So those are 2 items that we replaced. We replaced a belt and a cape. And these things we're going to go ahead and vendor because things don't sell that great on my auction house, and Sometimes they get below vendor value and it's just not worth going to auction house over. So there was an 8 gold from those. And like I said, values on the greens will increase as we level up, so it might not look that impressive right now, but like the last 10 levels out here do start to improve a bit money-wise. Alright, so that's her. So let's swap over to Soul Snuggles. Now this is my holy priest. The other priest was a discipline priest that hit 60. This one was a pet project I was working on the side. I wanted to see how holy was going to fare in this situation. I used to main a holy long time ago when I first started. Like, I was leveling in holy spec in BC, and I kept dying so much. And my husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I keep dying. He's like, but why? And I was like, I don't know, because these things are chewing on me. And he goes, what spec are you in? And I was like, I have talent points in holy. And he's like, no. And I'm like, yes. He's like, no, don't level in that. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. If I need to know how this works, I need to level in it. I need to experience it. I need to be into it up to my elbows. And then halfway or most of the way through BC, I saw somebody leveling in with most of their tree points in discipline, and so I swapped to discipline, and then I didn't go back to holy. I tried a couple times, and at that point, this was before Shadowlands, I just felt like my mana was just draining hopelessly, and I didn't like it anymore at all. So I stayed with discipline. I'm not happy of the state of discipline right now. I mean, it's nice that we have a DPS option in discipline, but it's really difficult for me to heal strictly through or mostly through DPS when so many people stand in shit and they need personal attention to keep them alive, so that when you're finally have them stable enough to go back to DPSing the mob to get the atonement healing out to everybody, like, somebody else needs your personal attention, and it's not necessarily the tank. So it was like, I don't know, I just felt like I was failing at whack-a-mole, and it was nah. So I stopped dungeoning, and the raid team fell apart anyway, so it's like, okay, that's fine. Although at that point I was raid healing with my shaman anyhow, but the raid team fell apart when WoD was coming in. But that was fine, because that was starting to feel like a second job anyway. Because raid team wanted to be bigger and faster and more badass, and they wanted to do heroic modes, and they basically wanted to, like, sprint before they could crawl, and I'm like, okay, you gonna put the work in? Because I don't think you guys understand how much work other raid teams put in. And, you know, they don't tunnel vision, they don't stand in shit as add-ons are pinging, yelling at them to move, like, come on now, let's be honest. And so the one night on a whim I was like, okay, fine, let's go do this on heroic. Does anybody know how to do the mechanics? Because they're different than on normal. Dead silence in the chat. You could hear a pin drop. And I'm thinking to myself, right, okay. I said, well, somebody better go look it up, because we're not going to get anywhere if we don't know what we're doing. So a couple people went to go look it up. So I was kind of pissed at this point, because I'm like, I'm not holding you guys back. I just don't think we're ready yet. Like, we don't even have the fights down on normal where we can just breeze through them. Like, it's still a struggle on some of these fights. But okay. And we couldn't get past the first boss in an hour and a half, and people were getting nerd ragey, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, see, I thought you guys wanted to do this, so you can't walk into heroic mode unprepared. Okay? This is the lesson I'm trying to teach you. I'm not holding you back. I just, you know, you've got to put the work in. This is not something that you can rely on one person to do all of it. And I'm not doing all of it. I'm working overnight shift. Like 5-6 days a week, depending on the schedule, the way it's lining up. I don't got time for that. But whatever. So yeah, I haven't done any readings since WoD. No, since the end of Kata, I guess. And that was a fun night, the last raid we did. You know those times where you're trying not to open your mouth in voice chat, because you know if you do, all hell's gonna break loose, because those that need the dressing down are not gonna like the dressing down, and you don't want to do it in front of everyone, because that makes even more drama, especially as a guildmaster. And you're sitting there and you don't like this behavior, you don't like this attitude coming from someone, especially in the situation that it happened in. And you're just so stunned by what they just said that you're kind of just sitting there still absorbing it, and you're like, by the time your brain catches up with your mouth, and it's like the situation's already kind of done because you didn't jump in before they left and stopped them, because you were trying to save them some embarrassment and trying to be respectful, and then this person just broke the whole respectful barrier right in half. I had a raid member that was the wife of someone else in the raid team. She wasn't very good at staying alive on melee, which is what she joined as. She would normally be dead within 15 to 30 seconds into the fights, because she wouldn't move out of stuff. And she switched to hunter and went ranged, and she got a little better. So okay, maybe melee just wasn't for her. And at that time, you know, what the hell was the name of that add-on? OQ? QQ? I don't remember, something Q. Where people were making groups for to fill raid slots across different servers, and most of the people that had started groups on that, I think it came in before the custom group maker that is in place now. Most of the people on there were like 25-man raid teams. They had the shit on farm. They had it down pat. You know, nobody got to see their ugliness of trying to learn it and get it worked out. And they were just trying to fill some slots so they could have an easier time of it. And we were a 10-man team on a good day. Depending on if everybody showed up. On a really good day, we were an 11-man team. But, you know, that didn't always happen. But, we were getting frustrated with the tower boss in Siege of Orgrimmar. We were having trouble with the flaming beach ball at the end. People weren't lining up the way they were supposed to be. Like, everybody was all more focused on their thing instead of, oh, the thingy's on me, I need to get to the end of the line. You know, a hard thing to learn. at times when you've got a bunch of people that tend to tunnel vision and aren't listening to the call-outs, so, or, you know, GTFO and stuff. So we were down to our last try for the night, and she, like, ripped into everybody. And she's like, we have this on farm with this other group that we run, and it's not that difficult. If you're on a hunter, remember this statement, if you're on a hunter, just disengage to the back of the line. It's not that hard. Remember that statement. Are we 2 healing this, or were we 3 healing it? I think we were 3 healing it. We might have been 2 healing it. I was on my shaman, and, I think we were 3 healing it. No, we were 2 healing it. I was on my shaman, and we had her husband on a holy priest. I would have rather been on my discipline priest, but he was holy, and 2 priests I didn't think were going to get the job done, plus, you know, mana totems and all that were a thing at the time. I mean, they're still kind of a thing, but there was just more utility there because I was mostly dual tank healing. That was fun. That was very stressful. And I'm standing about mid-pack watching people. There was a good number of people in front of me, and I'm watching what they're doing, in between watching everything else. She was on her hunter just in front of myself and my husband. She gets the thing. Now, she's on a hunter. What do you guys think she did? After the dressing down she gave everybody. Do you think she disengaged to the back of the line? Do ya? Fuck no. She ran in a wide arc around everybody, and the damn flaming beach ball didn't hit hardly any of us by the time she got into position. And I'm like, Russell and I were sitting here and we're like, son of a bitch! Like, we were pissed. And we're like, but you know, middle of raid fight is not the time. We're still trying to get this done. We still have a chance. Still have a chance. You know, we're both super focused. We're both trying to watch everything. For some reason, I was raid leader. Didn't ask to be, but somehow that fell on me, and I'm trying to call shit out because the person that volunteered to call shit out instead got too tunnel visioned into what they were doing and didn't call stuff out, and I had to do it anyway. So yeah, that happened. And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? And the fight, people started dropping. We were getting close to the enrage timer. We lost, it was down to like me, the holy priest, and the 2 tanks at that point. And, you know, I'm trying to stick a dot here and there. I'm trying to, you know, get the mana totems down. I'm trying to do what I can and trying to get as many other heals out to give the holy priest a chance, you know, to get their mana back a little bit. And the holy priest went down. He fucking nerd raged and rage quit the group. He just logged out. And I'm like, really? The fight's not quite done yet? You're gonna pull that pissy shit? Okay. Was down, we lost the second tank. It was down to me on the shaman and our blood DK that was tanking. And I'm like just barely squeezing out the mana. I had him just about full. And, you know, he was doing what he could with his DK self-heals, and we were getting closer, we were almost there. I go down. He's the last one standing, and the rest of us are like, we're so fucking close. He went down, but the NPCs were still alive. And they finished the fight for us, like, 10 seconds later, after a couple of people, like, quit the game and didn't even wait for the thing to finish, because they were so pissy and in a pissed off mood. And, the NPCs finished the fight. This is the truly fascinating thing. And we got an achievement because they were all still alive at the end of the fight and killed the bosses. Or killed the fucking dragon. And I'm like, really? Like, I thought it was kind of funny that they were just in such a shitty attitude area. And I'm just like, wow. Fascinating. And then the pissy husband and wife left the next day, and, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck ever. Gives me more time to do other shit. But, yeah, that was the last time we raided, and we never got any further in there. Probably a good thing that that happened on that boss, because there was some other stuff further in that, you know what? I think we did. We froze the raid lockout. And we tried to move forward 1 week with somebody else healing in that person's place. And, I think we managed to get to the swirly thingies in the city. And then we just hit a wall at that point. I think we were pugging other people. And, to fill in the slots. And that's where we hit a wall with that one. And then we couldn't go any further. And it was dumb luck that we even got past the towers and the effing dragon, but it was just like, wow. Like, all of us cheered, but because of the pissy people, it kind of killed the moment. Like, a lot of us were super excited. We're like, we finally got the fucking thing! But, you know. It's like... raiding is such a stressful situation. Especially when we were only putting in 1 day a week, because everybody else's work schedules, and they didn't want to put any more time in. I was like, we can do this both nights, but, you know, we have to be ready to go. And, everybody else was hard set on no, just the one night. I'm like, okay. Well, you know. It is what it is. But don't give me a hard time because you're not willing to put the work in. That's not how this works. Like, I was assigning homework to people rotationally. Be like, okay, this week you need to look up this boss and you need to explain it to everybody. Like, it was the only way that I was ensuring that, you know, at least someone else in the group was looking up mechanics, because I think half the time everybody else was waiting until like 5 minutes before raid to look at a video, and I'm like, for people that talk a lot of shit about wanting to move up to the next level and try to be one of the badasses on the server, you guys understand that, you know, they do put work into that, right? Like, you can't just show up and expect it to happen. It's not how it works. At all. Oh, we got 3 tusks. Only 1 green this time, though. That's a little disappointing. Alright. So. Holy Priest, level 46. Oh, she's got a few more levels to go till she gets into the maw. That's gonna be interesting. I mean, we've done it with disc, but don't know how Holy's gonna go. A little concerned, but you know. Figure it out when we get there. I really wish they would fix selfie cam. This whole weirdness where it's not changing the facial expressions and the arms in the shot and everything. Well, I mean, the arm might have always been in the shot, but it's at a weird angle now. It's like not where it was sitting before. It was fine until they did one of the patches, and then one of the patches fucked it up. And I've seen people mention it on the forums, on the buggy forums, so it's been noted. WoW challenges, bloodthirsty, soul snuggles. Holy Priest, Dings, level 46. Oh my goodness. Now she's another one that went through, everybody went through level squish except the mage who's coming up, so everybody's a bit long in the tooth. My oldest challenger is my rep Pally though. They've been alive since WoD. What am I looking at? Slashblade. 3 days. 9 hours, 55 minutes, 5 seconds. This is just more for my records, really. It's easier to look up a Slashblade time on a tweet than it is to actually go in game sometimes. Total kills. So this one was made in Legion? BFA? I would want to say BFA. But she also moves a little bit faster because of Beast Slayer. So, I mean, sometimes your racials do play a part. The trolls get that Beast Slayer bonus, so it's 20% bump in XP when you kill a beast. So, if you're going to be killing a lot of beasts, then maybe think about going troll. If you're trying to get where you're going a little bit faster. Alright. And we'll tweak that. Okay.
Knowledge is the best currency.
So it's 2 silver and change repair bill. Alright, so 3 tusks. Now these are like 17 gold a piece. So it's nice that we got 3 of those. Vendor trash. We didn't get any greens that we could put on. 175. Not terrible. We're gonna do all of the meat at the end. But, you know, 200. The second 200 is worth 12.50. So, not a whole lot of money sitting here, but a little bit. And then we'll just go ahead and get the 2 gold and change green. Alright. I do feel like the vendor trash, you get more of the high ticket items on the alliance side, well, in my alliance grinding loop than I do in my horde grinding loop. But I kind of like my horde grinding loop because usually I don't have anybody bothering me where I'm at, so I don't really run into that many people. I mean, there'll be somebody from time to time running through to kill that quest guy there. But generally don't have a whole lot of problem people that are like trying to be helpful and they're not. So it's like, thanks, but I'm good. Like if I get somebody repeatedly tagging my mobs, it's like, I'm good, really, I don't need help, thanks, I'm doing the solo challenge, you know, thank you for attempting to help me, but I really can't have help. Some people are cool and they back off, and other people don't even acknowledge the fact that I've said anything. And so sometimes the only way I get them to move on with whatever the hell they're working on is if I start the hearth. Sometimes I've had to fully hearth and come back. Doesn't work when they're on my server or on my connected servers though, and I can't escape them. Alright, these are quests that are just constantly popping up and we can't quest, so we're just gonna close that to clean up the screen a bit. Alright, so we've picked up a couple of greens, not anything spectacular. This is her first level out here actually killing stuff. And it hasn't been bad so far. It was... that's probably enough. It was better than I expected, honestly. I thought it was gonna be as bad as the rogue, if not worse. It actually was a little better because I didn't have to wait for as many cooldowns. I still have to wait for Ice Barrier. But it's not as bad as waiting for Vial and waiting for Gore to drop off. Now, that might change when I change my location. But this first level didn't feel too bad on the Mage. So, we'll see how things progress. I'm sure I will change my mind within the next level or two and be like, oh my god, I'm like not moving at all. The rogue is pretty slow. Really slow. I'm kind of at the point now where I'm stuck killing green mobs on the rogue. That's not making me happy, and I don't know how long we'll be able to get away with that. I really don't. So, I missed, forgot I was able to interrupt the bleat there. Bleat hurts. Interrupt where you can. Very important. But yeah, Rogue's been a interesting little nugget, and we'll get there in a few minutes when we hop over to them. But yeah. So Mage, oh, I interrupted that. No, I guess I was too slow. Thought I had interrupted it. I mean, I've had to eat a little bit, but it still hasn't felt as bad. I still kind of felt like I was moving pretty good. My biggest problem has been this. Coming through and the mobs I can kill not being there. There were a couple leather farmers, once again, that seem to live out here that I've been struggling to kill stuff against. It's been super frustrating. But, you know, there's not a whole lot I can do about them because I can't prove they're bots. I think they are actually people. I don't think it's auto-leveling things by the... Damn it, too slow. By the way that they've been moving. Sometimes I'm able to interrupt that. But, you know, patience is important, and those guys are definitely pushing my patience to the limit. Husband was like, just come back later. And I'm like, I can't. I've seen these people here from like 4 in the afternoon till like 2 a.m. and they don't go away. They don't ever leave. I will say, if anybody's been in Bastion over the summer and you've been playing recently during the week in the morning, you can definitely tell that school has started up again for the majority of people. It's a lot emptier before like 2 or 3 in the afternoon now. And that's about when I start to see uptick is like between 2 to 4. And then in the evening it's pretty poppin' at times, but you know, trying to navigate around it. If I can hang in there till like midnight, it'll start to calm back down again. Although by that time of night I'm kind of like just done. I don't feel like concentrating on what I'm doing for this at that point, so see, I wasn't sure if the other one was gonna come running around the corner, because there's one of these goat things that patrols. Kind of patrols. It's weird. Sometimes he's over here, and then he just decides, there he is. He decides to run around the corner up there near the bridge, and then he'll come back, and he likes to roam, I guess, because he's a roamer. His name says it all. So yeah, I feel like there's not as much downtime on the Mage as there was on the Rogue. Rogue has gotten a little bit better since I started going after the green mobs, because they're not... I mean, gore still hurts, and I still have to eat, but the gore's not hitting as often now on the Rogue since the mobs went green. And sometimes on the turtles now, the green turtles, I don't have to eat between everyone like I did. I did go and pick up a little bit of an upgrade on gear that I could find on Auction House, which was kind of tough. Because there was an incident, but you know me, I like to try to push at times. And I'm like, oh, well, the hunter did it. The priest did it. This one should be able to do it. Nope, 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 nope. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. Rogues are squishy. Rogues will always be squishy, and I need to get that into my head. I don't know what I'm gonna do when the green mobs go gray. That's definitely... I swore I hit that. I think I'm just being too slow on hitting it. But, yeah, no. Alright. So, we're almost a bar, and I took this one down to 2 bars. The Rogue, I think I took down to 1 bar. Because Rogue was getting a little lengthy to get through. I think it was 1 bar, I don't think it was 2. You know, now I don't remember how far I took the Rogue down. We'll find out in a few minutes. But, yeah, this one I brought down to 2 instead of 3. Because it takes a little bit to get through things out here. I kind of like my path up here. It's a lot easier on a ranged character, though, I will say that. Melee is not so bad on this path if you have a taunt or some sort of ranged pull. Damn. I didn't have that on the Rogue. Well, I mean, the Rogue's got pistol shot, right? So technically you could range pull, but then you can't be stealth to start the fight. So it's definitely a situation of, is this mob worth it to me? Most of the time it was like, no, I'd rather be stealth. So there were a few in the path that I had to ignore and remove from the list because it just wasn't an option to go after. And there's not too many high-ticket items out here. I'm just kind of going for the mobs that don't hurt me as bad as some of the others. So we're not really hunting for anything specific. We're just hunting for XP that's not going to kill us. So that's all we're doing. Ha! I got you that time. Interrupted the bleat. Like, I'm not used to having characters that can interrupt, which is part of the problem. Yes, hit the elemental. I don't want to get bleeded. Bleeded? Blighted? No. Blighted is something else. I don't want to get... Well, I don't want to get blighted either, but... If we're gonna bleat the elemental and not me. I kinda wish the elemental taunted a bit more, kind of like the warlock pet, but... I guess that helps. I think that worked that time. I guess that, like, makes the, class different from warlock, among other things, but... don't really have a tanky helper, we just have a helper. Alright, let's see. This guy. Now, these guys can be a bit of a pain in the ass. Not gonna lie. They like to get stuck on the rocks if you pull them just the wrong way. They also like to fall through the rocks. Too slow. To the point where you can't loot them. I'm not gonna loot that one yet. I've had them get stuck on the rocks and evade, and, you know, me trying to maneuver so that I can actually pull them. All that fun pain in the ass stuff. Now, I didn't loot this one at my feet yet because this one could potentially fall through. I had that happen numerous times while I was leveling. Okay, that one didn't fall through this time, but I was hoping to loot link them. Because, I mean, they're not going to drop anything spectacular, but, you know, it still goes to repair bills. We can make our own food, so we don't have to worry about buying food on this one. We do have to worry about that on the rogue, though. Very much so. So one good thing about the mage is that you can make your own food. You don't have to worry about having cash to purchase it, and you just have to worry about your cash going to your repair bills. And upgrading the gear, depending on the server you're on. The gear's a little crazy. Especially the type of gear that you're wearing. Because I've found leather to be very expensive, which astounds me. Because there's so many druids. Like, is it expensive because it's rare, or like, what is the deal there? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't get it. Go chomp on the elemental. He's like eating jello. Go chomp on him. Maybe he's not like eating jello. This one looks like he's got some rocks to him. I changed the appearance of him. And we also changed this one's hair color before we came out here. Because, you know, I figured, well, if I'm going to redo my transmog, I might as well. And the yellow hair kind of matched the trim on the outfit, so I was like, okay, what the hell. I usually don't fuss with the character's appearance once I start them, because, you know, superstitions and all, but this one's been doing okay, and I was like, well, alright. Let's see. Maybe I'm just being, you know, silly. So hopefully nothing happens, since I broke one of my own rituals. No glitter burst for you. I'm not having it. We're just not. So we're at 143 glossy fur. Okay. So, even though we're not allowed to technically quest all of the time, we were allowed to do the maw quests to get out here, because that was the only way to get out here. We can't take Threads of Fate, because Threads of Fate, we found out, gives credit for every storyline quest, and our tracker did not like that. So for now, unless we can get that sorted, we're just not allowing Threads of Fate. because we had originally allowed the mall quests anyway. So it just means you're stuck in Bastion. It is doable. I've done it 4 times now. There is a gap of mobs between 53 and 60 though, so you will most likely be killing some green mobs in between those levels. And you may have to switch to... Please don't touch my mob. Please don't touch my mob. Thank you. So you may have to switch to the 60 mobs when they're still a slightly orange shade. That is a possibility. Or maybe they turn yellow at that point. I can't remember how many levels the mobs stay green for. We'll figure that out on the rogue. I can't remember if they go green at 57 or 58, the level 53 mobs. We'll see, because usually I'm on characters that are like, okay, I'm gonna bounce over to the 60s because they've shown me that they can handle the 60s now. The rogue cannot. Either my gear is shit, or I'm just squishy. We're almost there. Hey, we're still on our first rotation on this loop here. I think we're more than gonna get there. Can I reach you? Maybe. No, come back. Come back, friend. Sometimes they get in this patrol pattern where they just hover just on the edge of the range, and then they don't come back closer for almost like 3 minutes. And if you're waiting that long, just be like, fuck it, and move to a different mob. But sometimes if you catch them in the right point, damn it, I wasn't paying attention. Sometimes if you catch them in the right point on their patrol, you can catch them both when they're a little bit closer. So we don't need that many more here. We need a couple more. Like, I seriously doubt this turtle's gonna do it. We'll probably need 1 or 2 more. I mean, yeah. 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Like, I don't know if 1 more is gonna do it. It might do it, or we could be just shy. Let's see. But, the whole leveling, yeah, 1 more. Just shy. But the whole leveling process with this one and the rogue, they were kind of similarly squishy, going through, Tier Guard Sound, where a lot of the time I felt like I had to stop and eat in between each fight. At the moment, it's a little bit better on the mage, but we haven't gone after the gore mobs yet. So I very much feel as though that's definitely going to change once we do that. And I'm probably going to have a completely different outlook on her leveling once we get to that point. I feel like she's going to turn super squishy, squishy again. And I'm probably going to be reevaluating why I am running a mage at that point. But, you know, we'll get there when we get there. I think I need to go see a mage trainer about learning how to get out here. I'm just gonna hearth because I'm lazy. Okay. The only thing I don't like about this hairstyle is that it's cutting through the lens on the glasses, and that's kind of pissing me off. some minor thing. Okay, now this one I started when Level Squish happened. So shortly after Level Squish, I made this one. I was trying to find a new leveling path that was gonna work for me, because, you know, everything upended and changed. So, her 4 days is from, like, November, I think, October, somewhere in there, doing, a level a week, roughly, like, after 10. I think I played her till 10, and then it was maybe a level a week, something like that. Frozen Soul. And I kind of went Mage, because I'm like, well, I mean, she's squishy. If she dies, she dies. And, she's still alive, so I'm like, okay. Dean's level 52, and like I also went Mage because my other Mage had died, and I was like, well, you know, I'm missing Mage at this point. What the hell? So we are trying to get one of every class there. Not sure if I'm gonna have enough time, because it does take a lot of time to get through Bastion, and I really don't want to be running more than 2. I didn't want to run more than 1 through here, but looking at my time constraints, I didn't have that luxury. So why do those look so off? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Oh, I guess it's just the shape of the 6. And I was killing critters with Frost Nova, so that's where that disparage comes from. 609. That used to be my old area code. Okay. So the sometimes the vendors can walk away from you. Sometimes I'll just use my vendor mount. Sometimes I'll walk over here and just talk to them. I don't think this one moves. Alright, let's start with the gray stuff. It's delicious. So 162 on the vendor trash. And I just vendor the greens out here because a lot of the Bastion greens on my auction house actually get put up for like below vendor value at times, so I'm like, yeah, no, we're just gonna vendor it. It's not worth the hassle of sending it to my bank alt. Alright, so, you know, 400-ish? 2 and 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Carry the 1, 2, 406, maybe, if my math didn't dyslexic on me. I really am a little bit dyslexic. I'm not making fun. I transpose things all of the time. It's terrible. It takes me twice as long to get through shit. The amount of times that Grammarly's like pinging me, it's like, hey, we're just gonna fix this word here for you. We're just gonna fix that one for you. Like seeing them like change the word as I'm doing. I'm like, oh, okay. The worst part is you're trying to spell something and when spell check has no idea. Like, you weren't quite sure how to spell it and then, you know, dyslexic brain kicks in and re-scrambles some of the letters and spell check is just sitting there and it's like, I'm trying, but I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't even begin to think of what maybe you were trying to say here. So, I mean, that's always fun. Okay, so the rogue had a much more bountiful leveling experience this time through. As you can see, his transmog is back because we had to go to auction house and get some gear. When I had tried killing some of the green mobs, and I'm like, oh god, this is gonna, like, I'm looking at the XP and I'm just like, this is gonna take for fucking ever. And you know, time constraints and all, and I was really trying to push, and so I was like, okay, let's go try and kill some of the moths. They're supposed to be not as bad as the other ones, as far as the level 60 mobs go, so let's try this. I had not upgraded my gear yet, so I went over to try to kill one of the level 60 moths, which was orange to me. I had them down to about a quarter health, and I was at half, and I was like, oh no, because I was dropping quick, and I was like, yeah, no, I had to vanish out of that fight, and I went to go get some gear from auction house. I found a few things. I couldn't find any weapons, though, which astounded me. There was 2 fist weapons up, and I was like, well, I mean, I'm running with fist weapons now, so okay, that's fine. Except one was the same exact one I had on, and another one, was a slight upgrade, but they wanted 600 gold for it, and I'm like, but I need money to eat. So I was like, okay, no thanks. Wasn't worth it to me at that particular moment. So, I redid his transmog, and I was going to do a different transmog, and then realized I didn't have enough of the pieces, so I was gonna do those and, like, make him look extra badass, and I was like, oh, I don't have the stuff that would really go with that, and realized I don't have much leather gear at all, so I don't really run leather characters. I'm usually running clothies, so... But, we got 2 horns so far. Those are lovely. I think those are 17 or 18 gold apiece. We're over almost to a stack and a half of pelts. And we picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 greens. So that's going to be a nice chunk of change there. We got 1 bar to go. Let's redo our poisons just so we've got some time to work with. It's not going to take us a full hour to get through this. At least I don't think it's gonna. I've been wrong before. I wasn't really keeping track that hard on this one's level because I was very distracted this level. The slower the level goes, the more distracted I get. So, it's probably a miracle that I'm still alive on this one especially, but, you know. No glitter burst. No bursting of the glitter. No thank you. But yeah, that 350 XP, it hurts. It hurts. Because we were getting 4 something last level, and yeah. I'm just like, oh lord. And I am impatient. I mean, people tell me I have the patience of a saint, and I don't believe them. I am a very impatient person when it comes to most things. Now see, Gore didn't hit there. But, I'm just like, come on, let's go. I want to be on the next set of mobs, and nope. The rogue class is dictating. That one hit. Our leveling speed instead of us this time. So, I mean, definitely have to... I'm being forced to put the brakes on, and I'm just like, no. I don't want the horse. I want you. Come on. The flying things can be a bit of a pain to set up just right to hit them. Alright. I'm kind of surprised we didn't get the little gear thingy pop up. because I would have thought by now that we would have had the little repair icon. What are you spraying?
I'm spraying in the air above Zuzu because he was looking all weird at me and I was spraying myself. And that plus Momo's watching me, so I figured I would use him. I'm making him soup right now. Just to make sure he gets liquids.
Okay. Yeah, we're still having some difficulties with the dog that the vet couldn't find anything wrong with, but he's definitely telling us something's not right. So,
well, again, he probably hurt something. It's just we're seeing if he hurt something bad enough to need to go to the expensive vet that's going to want surgery, or if he hurt something that'll get better with time. He was doing better until Zuzu jumped on him.
yeah.
Bastard. Stop making things expensive, puppy.
Well, you know, Zuzu's a bit of a tank and a bruiser, so he just pushes his way through everything. And Momo's a bit of a submissive, okay puppy, so he's like, alright. He never claps back at his brother, so. But he's definitely smarter than his brother. Zuzu's very stubborn. Oh, I forgot. I needed to mark myself so you guys could find me. Can't find the stealthy gnome in the tall grass, so. Yeah, it's so hot in here we're like misting our shirts with water bottles.
I was gonna get you, but I don't want you clenching and hurting your neck or something.
Yeah, that's not, like, I thought you were standing behind me, and I've been stressed out and tense enough the past couple of days. I can't guarantee what would happen if you did that unexpectedly.
Do you need strength?
Not right now. Maybe when I'm done, we'll see. I'm okay at the moment, but I haven't walked out of our room to realize how hot it is in here. Like, our room is cooler than outside, so don't get me wrong about that. It's, what is it outside right now? We were under another heat advisory, and I think they extended it through tomorrow as well. We'll see. I haven't checked the weather advisory at the moment, and I went past where I wanted to be. So it's 97 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so that's pretty toasty as it is. And we have a feels like of 103. That's not as bad as it was the other day. I think yesterday or the day before, the feels like was 106. Let's see. From 3:08 p.m. Central, August 25th until 7. Okay, so they haven't extended it yet. Or they haven't issued a new one yet. We still have this one that's supposed to end at 7 p.m. tonight. So, not unusual for our area at the end of August. We've seen this before. No rain anywhere near us right now, though. It'd be nice if we did get some rain. Just to try to cool things down a bit. I feel like that did not set up the way I was planning it. That gore did hit, but we killed it before we needed to hit Crimson. So I mean, you can see based off of the other levels with this one, I don't have to panic and be hitting Crimson while gore is casting. I can even kind of, I mean, the gear upgrade might have helped too. Like, I can even push it a little bit to maybe getting the fight over with and then sitting down to eat. But, you know, it was a little more frantic when these mobs were yellow. So, but yeah, like, it's cooler in our room than it is outside. So, like, if you were outside and walked in, you'd be like, oh, it feels so good in here. But then if you walk from our room to the rest of the house and then come back in here, it's like, oh god, it is friggin' stifling in here. Because, you know, whoever built this house didn't do that good of a job. The house is old. The house has several sections of it that were tacked on over the years, we believe, just based on how things look from the inside. We're not exactly sure which part of the house is original, but I've seen two conflicting dates of when the house was built. I've seen 1921 and I've seen like 1926. The house is old, so it's an adventure trying to figure out stuff with this property and finding things outside. We were gonna, when we still had the guinea pigs, we were gonna put in a vegetable garden in the backyard. There was a section near where our shed is that was kind of on a slope, but we're like, we can put something in, like we can put some wood edging in or something to keep the dirt from running down or running off in the rain. And we were trying to dig into the soil a little bit, you know, just to make sure that there wasn't anything in there that we were going to cut our hands on and just, you know, tear up the weeds and stuff. Aw, I didn't need to kill that. Oh well. And husband was digging and digging near the shed, and he found wiring in the ground. And we're like, what? Why is there wiring? Just wires. I can't remember if we found a ladder buried in there as well, but we found wires that seemed to be running from maybe the area of the shed. We weren't really sure. We were afraid to touch them. And we didn't really understand what was going on. So my theory is it might have been some form of grounding for the shed because the shed's metal. It's possible that somebody decided to rig something on their own to ground the shed that was not exactly up to code, shall we say. And other than that, we have no idea what this could possibly be, and we decided to stop because we're like, we don't want to get electrocuted, even though we're not 100% certain that these are live wires. We don't think they are. And we're not sure we want to know at this point. So we don't have the money to fix something if this is something that should not have been touched, because they do like to bury cables here in certain sections. But our power lines on the house are on a pole. They're in the air, so we know it's not that. It was very bizarre. And we're not that far from like a Civil War battlefield area. It's just, you know, a few blocks down the street is where, you know, one of the battle sites was that they have documented, and used to be a bunch of farm area. We don't know what the hell the deal was here, so we're like, we're just gonna put the dirt back on top of that, and we didn't see nothing, we don't know nothing. So it kind of killed our garden area because we didn't want to dig in there and purposely be dumping water back in there. And we didn't know what it would do to the vegetables that we'd be pulling out, since they were going to be going to the guinea pigs. So we're like, yeah, maybe that's not going to work. So then we had to put the vegetable garden back in the front yard. We don't care. And we're like, okay, that's fine. But we don't have the guinea pigs anymore, so I still hear phantom guinea pig noises, and I haven't been able to figure out if the house is being haunted by guinea pigs or if I'm just crazy, and it's probably that I'm just crazy. But every so often at night, when I'm alone in our room, I will hear what sounds like either a guinea pig cough or a guinea pig sneeze, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? Because all of the cats will be sound asleep, and that was definitely not a sound that the dogs made. So I'm just like, hello? What did I just hear? But I guess I'd rather be haunted by guinea pigs than, you know, be seeing apparitions of Civil War soldiers walking through the house. You know, that's fine. Take that how you want it. I know some people don't believe in ghosts or other planely existences. I can't say that they're real or not, and I don't think anybody really can for sure, because we just don't know. I know I've had several odd experiences growing up. So, I don't know what to make of that, and I keep coming across areas where I have these things happen, so it's not, I will say sometimes at night it feels very creepy outside. Sometimes in this house it's a little creepy, but, you know, can't explain it. Not sure if I'd ever be able to, and some of the stories I'd tell, a lot of people would probably think I'm full of shit. But, I remember being at, someone's house that I considered at least a partial friend at the time, in high school. And, I can't remember if we were just over hanging out in the summer because it was so hot out, and we were like down, she had a furnished basement, and it was cooler down there. And, I think we were just kind of dicking around down there trying to figure out what we wanted to go do. And, I had come upstairs to get something. And, she had a kitchen, and then there was like a little like a little cutout window from between the kitchen and the dining room, or there was an open space where you could see the dining room table or something. And I think I was putting like a cup in her sink, and I saw this old woman sitting at the table, like tight permed, curly, kind of like the Bob Ross afro, but more like older woman cut and styled. And she was sitting at the table, and it looked like she had a cup of tea in front of her. And I was kind of pissed at my friend because I was like, you didn't tell me. So like I'm super awkward around people, right? So I went up there, I put the thing in the sink, and I saw this lady sitting at the table, and she just kind of had her one arm sitting down on the table, and she kind of had her chin resting on her hand, like her hand was like holding up her chin. She was just kind of sitting there, kind of staring into her tea. And she kind of looked up at me when I walked upstairs, and I saw her, and I was like, oh, hi, I don't know who you are, I've never seen you before. And as far as I knew, she was the only one home, and super shy and awkwardness kicked in, and I would just kind of said hi and waved, and turned around after I put the thing in the sink, walked back downstairs to my friend, and I looked at her, I said, you didn't tell me your grandma was here. And she looked at me, she's like, what? I was like, you didn't tell me your grandma was here. I thought we were the only ones here. She goes, we are the only ones here. She's like, my grandma's dead. And I was like, what? I was like, well, I just saw an older lady with like white, think Q-tip kind of hair, sitting at your dining room table. And she's like, what? So she went running upstairs. There was no one there. And she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her. I'm like, look, I'm telling you, I fucking saw somebody. And I was like, we just kind of all looked at each other, and I think we were like, okay, let's go somewhere, because we decided not to stay in the house any longer for a little bit. And it was very bizarre, very unnerving. And they're like, well, did they say anything? I'm like, no, they just kind of looked at me, kind of nodded. We kind of did the awkward stranger thing where it's like, sup? And, I came back down here because I was upset that you didn't tell me anybody else was here. And I'd never seen this person before, and she's like, yeah, no, I don't know who the hell you're talking about. So that was super weird and awkward and just all of the things. And that's only one incident that I had when I was younger. At times I felt like I was a magnet for this stuff. After my grandfather passed away, and he passed away at my grandparents' house, I would go over and spend weekends like I always did, or spend the night like I always did at my grandma's house. And after he passed away, I started staying in his room when I would be over. And because I guess, I don't know what it was, but at some point they went from staying in one bedroom to two, and I don't know what it was. I don't know what made that change, but somehow they each ended up with their own rooms. I don't know what that was about. It was bizarre to me, but you know, I was like, okay, whatever. And at night, laying in bed trying to fall asleep, like when I was younger, I guess I should put this information into the story before we get to the second half. When I was younger and staying there, and I'd be sleeping with my grandmother in her bed when I was little, because they only had the 2 rooms, he would get up a lot in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And their house was very old, and the floor would creak where you would walk from his room at one end of the house down to where the bathroom was. And, you know, you could hear that he was walking through the house. He followed the same path all of the time, and certain sections in that path would creak when you put weight on them. And after he passed away and I was there and I was staying in his room and I'd be laying awake at night, you'd hear the floor creak in those same exact spots. And she would be in bed asleep, she wouldn't be up, and she wouldn't be walking in those sections anyway, because her room was right next to the bathroom. But there were times where I also kind of woke up and she was staring at me through the doorway, and that was kind of creepy, I'm not gonna lie. I got creeped out by that, and I'm like, after she started doing that, I kind of stopped spending the night because it was weirding me out. It's very bizarre to wake up to someone staring at you through a doorway, and it's like, what's going on? What are you doing? What is the matter? So that kind of freaked me a bit with everything going on. And Russell's mom does that to me too, and she will stare at me from the dark hallway by her bathroom across the dining room, and I'll be in the kitchen and she'll just be standing there staring at me, and I can feel her eyes like boring into me, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like it just unnerves me so bad. I start getting upset, and I'm like, what are you doing? Just go to the bathroom if you need to go. If you need to come out here, just come and get the thing. Just don't stand there and stare at me. I was like, please, come out here and try to remember the thing that you're trying to do. I can't handle this. Just stop. Because I also had somebody when I worked at the casino who would stare at me. And I'm like, what is happening? But he was a whole nother level of creepy. We didn't work in the same department, but we worked in the same area. So I was in casino credit doing applications for people that wanted in-house lines of credit, and there was only like 1, 2, 3, 4. There was less than 10 of us that were clerks in the department. We were a very small department. And then you had executives that would make decisions on who could get credit and who couldn't. And then we had a director of the department that would get involved for lines over, you know, $100,000. We were tucked in behind the main cashier cage, so there'd be cashier windows in front of us, the way that the cage was set up. We didn't have our own separate office in this casino. It was an older building. It hadn't been remodeled in that area, so we were part of the main cashier cage. There was a half wall in front of the one side of the cage that the cashiers stood in front of. There was the cashier's supervisor podium desk thing that they would sit at to keep an eye on the cashiers, and then we were at another desk down the other end. They had their window for their bank where they would sign keys in and out for windows and get change and stuff. They also were doing bank deposits back there for Armored Car and shit where we were. It was a little intimidating being around that much money and that many cameras, and it's like, oh god. So we had a counter where we would talk to the customers and a computer up at our counter. And then we had another desk that had 2 different computer terminals at that behind that section, behind the photocopy machine. And then we had 3 more desks that were in the back, in clear-walled cubicles, okay? This one cashier decided to fixate on me, and at first it seemed like he was just being friendly, and I'm terribly socially shy and awkward in situations where I don't know you and you're now in my space. So being around that many people on the daily working back there was rather, hey, we lived, was rather intimidating for me and made me very uncomfortable. So I was already wound a little bit tight. Plus I was on grave shift. So, you know, super tired, don't feel like dealing with anybody's bullshit. Okay, these guys are still green. We might have to do another level on these. Fascinating. But, so he starts grabbing his, now they're supposed to sign their keys in and out at their little bank window. He would take his clipboard and sit down next to me and start signing his clipboard to get his keys in and out. And I'm like, looking over like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, trying to figure out this dude. And every so often one of his supervisors would be like, yo, that's not... Okay, I really don't want to see through your hat. What is happening? We need to stand at a different angle, I think. I think the hill's fucking with everything here. And it was bizarre, to say the least. Your hat's just gonna be a problem here, isn't it? And alright, let's go with that. So that was weird. And then one time he came down and sat at the table I was sitting at in the cafeteria, totally uninvited. Totally uninvited. Just plopped down across from me. Because they were kind of like picnic style seating, except, you know, the chairs had backs on them instead of backless benches in the employee cafeteria. And I'm just like looking at the time because I had to go in early because of the bus situation and all. And I'm looking at what time it is. I'm like, oh my god, I can't clock in yet. And the dude knew I was married. He knew I was married. He'd seen my husband. He'd seen us up there together at times, and it didn't seem to faze him. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And so I kind of was like, oh, I gotta go. I just remembered I need to get something before my shift starts, and I like went down to one of the stores and dicked around until I could punch in. Super, super weird. And then we had, like I said, we had the clear-walled cubicles in the back of our work area. I started having to look up subpoena emails to see if we had to get anything ready for the legal department. And I'd be back there looking up stuff on the department email list, because only like one specific computer could bring it up. And he'd be leaving, and I'd be sitting there working on something, and I could see him through the cubicle wall out of the corner of my eye staring at me. And I'm like, dude. And he would just stare. And a couple of times his supervisors would catch him, and they'd be like, you're supposed to be leaving, you need to go clock out. And then he would like remember where he was and go clock out. And this went on for months, the staring, and it was really starting to get to me. And, you know, I kept telling his supervisor, I was up like, why the fuck is he staring at me constantly? And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, watch him when he goes to leave. Half the time he's staring at me. I have to go hide in our rolling filing cabinets when I know he's leaving until he leaves, so he doesn't do it. Because we had these massive, filing cabinets that were on rollers to get to client files. And I would go hide back there during when I knew he was leaving so I could avoid him, or I'd be hiding up front at the counter talking to my supervisor so that he didn't have the opportunity to do it. And it was always anxiety inducing when I saw him coming, and I'm like, oh god. Well, it came to a head one night where I was up in the cafeteria and waiting to clock in. I was reading my book. I was reading my Kindle, right? Head down, not bothering anybody, not talking to anybody. Dude walks over and stands at the end of the bench I was sitting on. The other end of the bench was up against the wall, so there was only one way to scoot in and scoot out of this particular seating area. Puts his hand down on my shoulder, totally uninvited. I had never, ever even really talked that much with this dude. And he puts his hand down on my shoulder. He's like, oh, hi, how are you doing? And I just felt deer in headlights trapped. I'm like, I'm fine. I've got to go. And bolted the fuck out of there as fast as I could and went downstairs and like freaked out on my supervisor and freaked out on his supervisor. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing touching people? You know, I was like, totally invaded my personal space bubble. Freaked the fuck out. And I know I probably overreacted, but with everything else that he had been doing up to that point, it scared me. And I'm like, no, this is not cool. Not wanted, not invited. I don't even really talk to this guy. Like, what the fuck? You know, there was no real workplace friendship there. Like, no, this is not okay. Well, then they got HR involved. I wasn't expecting HR to get involved. I wasn't trying to file a sexual harassment thingy. I just wanted him to leave me the fuck alone. That's all I wanted. No touchy, no talky, just stop the staring, just stop it all, and we'll be cool. Like, we can coexist in the same area, just leave me the fuck alone. But they got HR involved, the supervisors, or the cage supervisor did, and that upset me, because I'm like, what? I'm like, what is this? Like, what are we doing now? Like, I just wanted dude to leave me alone. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. And then I'm like trying to bolt out of there the one morning because it had been a long night. I was exhausted. I wanted to go the fuck home. My one supervisor's like, well, yeah, you can duck now if you want. It's like 20 minutes before the next person comes in, and we're slow. It's fine. Go ahead. And I was like, thank you. I might have a chance to catch this next bus. Husband was not working that night, I think. And I had my coat in my hands because we left them in our director's office, and almost out of the credit office, and somebody walks in and they're like, hi, are you so and so? And I'm like, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, maybe. Like, oh, I'm from HR. We need you to do a written statement about X. And I'm like, we have to do this now. And I'm just like, fucking son of a bitch. I'm like, I just want the guy to leave me alone. And it turned into a thing. And they're like, well, we just have to have a statement for proof of, you know, your side of it, his side of it. And I'm just like, fine, what the fuck ever. I was like, it was kind of a nothing event, and I probably shouldn't have gotten upset as I did, but you just don't go around doing that, okay? You don't. You don't do that. He was married too, so I'm like, what the fuck? You know? And it was bizarre. It was bizarre. So then they had to put a sealed copy of it in my file, and I'm like, why are we putting this in my file? And they, I guess HR had a copy too, and then I guess a copy went in his, I don't know if a copy of my turn of events went in his file or not, but my statement went into my file, I guess. And they had it in a sealed envelope and stuff, and I was like, okay, this is weird, but okay. So they had like 3 different people try to explain to this dude why this wasn't cool. It wasn't sinking in. So then on the days that I was working, the cage supervisors tried to move him to a different area. And they had put him in a different location the one night. And there was some big to-do, and they're like, we'll call security, roll back the cameras. He can't leave until we figure out where the shortage is. And I'm like, what the fuck? And later that night I found out it was my not buddy. His drawer came up $100 short, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. Apparently he had sat a chip next to his chip rack instead of putting it in the rack for some unfucking known reason. And that's why he was coming up short, and they were trying to say that he was planning on stealing it. And they fucking fired his ass. So I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I felt bad, but I don't know if he was purposely trying to steal it, or if he was trying to get himself fired. I don't know. It was weird. The whole thing was weird. So just under 400 gold on vendor trash. I'm like a magnet for stupidness, I swear. Oh wow, okay, so we got 776 gold from the greens, and then another almost 400 gold. I guess it would be 400 gold after you... Well, no, almost 400 when, from the vendor trash, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, so over 1,000 gold between the two. So not bad. We'll be able to eat again. So this level I had started out with 500 food. We had a lot more left over this time. I doubt we'll have any left over when we move over to the other mobs. I'm still not too certain we can take them on. I will have to figure that out when I go through the whole leveling process once again on this guy. I might just stick with the green mobs again. I'll have to look at the XP and look at the tracker and see if the kill tracker is going to count them. That might be what forces my hand, because even though the green mobs take for fucking ever, I don't know if I'll be able to handle the other ones yet, to be perfectly honest. I'll see. We'll look into that. But that's gonna do it for today. No iron action this week, sorry. Having 2 bloods in Bastion at the same time is taking a little bit longer, so we're gonna take a look at the calendar, show you guys what we've got coming up. As far as WoW is concerned, there's no events coming up, really, that challengers can do anytime soon. Next week there is Trial of Style. That is not allowed for Bloodthirsties. I mean, excuse me, challengers on the whole. I mean, Bloodthirsties might be and greens might be the only ones that can do it, but you can't. You're not allowed to do it. It's against challenger regulations, because you have to group with people, and it's like a scenario situation, so no. Irons pacifist can't, because you can't transmog white gear, so working, even though we're not tracking working right now, or Green Man, it still wouldn't be cool to do that, so don't. So just leave Trial of Style for your means. Darkmoon Fair is coming up on the 5th. You can do that if you're an Iron Pacifist or something else that's allowed to quest, because everything there counts as quest. Bloodthirsties can't go. So don't even bother. The next real holiday events don't happen till deep into September, when we have Brewfest come in on the 20th, and that runs through... Where does that run through? That runs through the 6th of October, and then we roll into Hallow's End, and that's down the road in October. So I mean, we still have a little bit of time before events kick back in, world event wise, for challengers that they can participate in regularly. I'll probably be bringing the Iron back maybe soonish. I might try to look at auction house prices for Darkmoon Fair stuff. I might try to do some chest runs. We'll see. She's 50? What level is she? I don't even know. Where is she? She's 50. So I'm trying to get to 51, maybe even 52 before I take her into the mall. I might try at 51. We'll see. She can't really kill anything, so I don't know. We might try to push to 52. I don't know if my insanity can take that, but we'll see. Iron's not really my cup of tea. I prefer Bloodthirsty. So stream schedule. Tomorrow we'll be doing some Stardew Valley. Let's see, today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. Friday we'll be doing Franchise Friday with Planet Zoo and Mozu. We're gonna try to finish up the staff buildings on that and hopefully have time to pretty up the new food stuffs and guest facilities that we had put around the Peacock exhibit. I did move the Peacock talk point into the exhibit for the walkthrough, along the walkthrough area. We'll see what happens there. And Saturday is the WoW Challenges podcast. It's the anniversary show. So we always try to do something a little special for the anniversaries. This year we're doing a druid dance party because I believe Lita said this anniversary year is like the gift of wood or something wooden as far as traditions go for like year number 6. So they're like, wood, druids can be trees, wood. Okay, so we're gonna ask people, you know, if you want to participate in the dance party, you can come to Shadowglen on Wormrest Accord on the Alliance side, make a level 1 druid, and go back to the Moonwell that's back in there, and we're gonna have a party. People can dance during the show and the shot, and Lita will have her camera on in game and show everything that's happening there. If you want to bring a higher level character, that's fine too. Higher level druid if you have one. Cool. And just remember, you may need to talk to Zadormi in Darkshore if you're so high that the tree is no longer there. Just quick reminder on that. So yeah, that's going to be going on Saturday. I'm going to be on the show as well as Fair. We're both going to be on helping to celebrate. I think we're going to have maybe a talk about, you know, druids as potential challengers. We'll see. And we don't have everything nailed down yet. We're still making sure that we're getting our ducks in a row and everything and getting ready for that. And then Sunday we'll be doing an art stream. I promise we'll try to go longer this time. I'd cut it short last week because I was not feeling well, and it was the husband's birthday, and there was just a multitude of things going on, and it was just better just to do a short one than a longer one. We will try to go longer this time. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at for the state of the rest of the streaming week. So, you guys, hang in there. You know, I know it's tough and things are uncertain and all of the anxieties ever, but hang in there. You know, everybody's doing the best they can. So yeah, I hope to see some of you tomorrow afternoon for Stardew Valley. If not, then I at least hope to see you at the WoW Challenges podcast at 7 p.m. Eastern on their Twitch page, okay? On Saturday. But yeah, so you guys have a great night. And until tomorrow, have a good one.